Oh, okay, good. Looks like it did start. Just have to make sure. All right. Okay. Um, what I wanted to discuss on this, and I'll zoom in just so you can see what it says there. Then I'll zoom out, go on to the other side, and do the same there. You can go ahead and pause and read this if you want, but as you can see, the person who originally made this, their name is at the bottom. I want to point out I do not claim any copyright for it. Now then, from my experience as far as growing up into the present time that we're all in right now, um, the best thing I could describe how things is that I believe society they've uh they've they've modified society to where it basically encouraged the behavior for people to hide behind a mask. And if you've noticed how peer pressure works, right? Like you do random stuff, right? Just random stuff that you wouldn't normally do. It seems to be less and less like you. It's it's like it's encouraging you to go towards a more fabricated persona instead of your own. Meaning it's encouraged you to develop a fabricated personality just to gain favoritism of your peers or those around you, right? And I started to understand like it seemed this isn't just around peers as far as when you're a kid. This goes well far into adulthood too. And it's like the more and more, but it also goes down to like what society's relationships too. Like there's not everybody that has bad chemistry, but because of what's being encouraged, it's not and what's being taught as far as through the entertainment industry, the TVs, the internet, and it's just to a point to where like you can't. I mean, think about it. If you don't even truly try to understand yourself, and you keep seeking that favoritism from your peers and stuff, you start to lose more and more of yourself the more and more you do that. And then eventually it comes to time to where you will actually accept that false personality as your real personality, and your true self gets forgotten. When it comes to a lot of these gang stalkers who are like really problematic, who have like some serious issues, it doesn't matter whether they're working or not. It doesn't matter whether they're homeless or not. I'm talking about like just perps in general. It doesn't matter even if they're a guy or a female. I believe they've succumbed to this and they've lost their true self. They've they've basically chased after this whole idealism of fitting in, as they like to call it, and because of that, they've forgotten who they once were. And this actually happens in the household too. And the same stuff is taught in the household. It's taught in schools and everything like it is all taught behind around with behaviorism. When people act out a certain type of way, that could give off an impression. That's one thing. When kids start to act out another way, you know how the old saying goes, how like one bad apple spoils the bunch. That's another example. Um, what I've learned is that for those of us who refuse to accept that and refuse to to accept a false personality and then just stuck with our own personality, a lot of us were like teased, taunted, and effed with growing up. A lot of us were, and it was because of that. And the truth is, the reason why we were picked on so much, right? The reason why is because we refuse to, join the fold. We refuse to back down. We refuse to be absorbed into the chain of people, of what I like to call people hiding behind the mask. You gotta understand, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not even dating now. And it's not to say there aren't any true real females out there. It's just that you gotta understand when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, you actually have a genuine understanding of what I see when it comes to dating and all that stuff. You gotta understand when it comes to this, you and you go to get to know a person, you're not technically getting to, because of them having that false personality and hiding behind that mask. You're not really technically getting to know the real person. You're not getting to know the real person. The only thing you're getting to know is the mask, the false persona that they put out for society. Because you got to understand, they're using that to gain favoritism. They're using that to fit in. So they would use that naturally when it comes to dating. They wouldn't show their true colors. And you got to understand, like, you ever wondered why when you ever dated someone, how they just immediately changed after like you were with them for so long? The comfort thing already just they already unveiled the curtain of comfortability, and that's when their true nature comes out. Now you've been around them long enough, they get tired of having to having to put on the mask so much. So eventually, bam, they start to have their true self showing. Um, and it's because of that, like I wouldn't want to get to know a person with a false personality like that. I would want to when it comes to dating, and it's not even dating itself. It's just finding a woman, um, in general, right? Like someone who I would want to spend my life with, and so on and so forth, right? And I wouldn't want to just get to know a false person because first off, I would not only like we technically we would be both cheating ourselves in this case. Both the female will be cheating herself, and I will be cheating myself as well. First off, I'm getting to know a person from a false personality that's not her own. So by doing that, I get a false sense of justification on her, and then as soon as things start to change up, bad chemistry. You can't have good chemistry if you are hiding behind a mask. And plus, you can't expect society. How can you expect society to ever accept you if you can't even accept yourself? If you don't even know your true self, how can you ever expect anyone to understand you? And this is my prime example. That's why I started to strive to understand myself truthfully. And then when I started to realize what was really going on, how people's personalities were being shifted towards a false personality, how they wanted the double personality to happen so that they can, absorb what they like to do with these directed energy weapons, absorb your true self into these computers and just leave that false personality in your body. I believe this is what this technology is doing to everyone, or at least trying to most of us. Some of us have it has succeeded in doing this. Some of us ended up dead. Some of us ended up dying because of it. So many people ended up dead because of this weapon. So many people's lives shattered. So many families destroyed. Husbands stripped from wives. Wives stripped from husbands. And it's a very unfortunate situation in so many ways. You see, within the society, from my personal view, from what I can see within the society section that I'm in, since I'm African American, when I see them trying to match up with everything, like trying to have all these colors match when they try to look the part. And one thing I noticed is that some rappers and they said this themselves, when it came to the music, they said, "Look, I work in sell this music and stuff like that, but I would never raise my kids like that." And if you were to see the behind the scenes thing, they're not kidding. Like they really don't act like that at all, dude. They don't. But the problem is that they're still selling something as far as when it comes right down to a lot of messages and stuff like that that's out there. You got now when it came down to the N word, I understand that like they're trying to shift the mentality towards a more hateful aspect. Now a lot of them saying when they call each other, like when black folks call each other the N word, it means like we're all family. No. First off, we're all our family, generally, all of us, not just all blacks, but even people of other ethnicities too. So we're all connected in some sort of way. All of us are. And spirituality will prove that. Now, if you want to have a term more close to family scenarios, then you would want to use my brother or my sister from another mother. That's a term that you don't even hear anymore, you know? And whenever I question people about like, why do you use the N word and stuff like that, it goes down to the point to where it's like, well, it's a very sensitive subject and they get real pissed off. But I've seen some very, very questionable things. Like I've seen people of other ethnicities use this, and there will be black folks around them that would be cool. Now you'll be seeing these groups called like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. You'll see stuff like that, but you know, a lot of these perps, dude. A lot of these perps. Again, these perps. They do this stuff for money. You got black folks who do this to other black folks. You got white folks who do this to other white folks, and you got Hispanics who do this to other Hispanics. So what I'm basically saying, it man, is that all lives matter. Look, when it comes down to the N word, look, here's my issue with that. You don't have to, if you want to have it on the basis of family, then just use my sister or my brother from another mother. That's for everyone. But when you use the N word itself, that's more of a segregated tactic. But then you want to try to say, well, like no one else can say it. But then, like, and trust me, I've witnessed this. I've witnessed people from other ethnicities using this around black folks, and they had no problem with it, as well as only a certain few saying it, and then bam, they got a problem with it. So it seems like a more segregated aspect. Not to mention the only excuse they have when it comes right down to that is that, oh, well, like the letter's different. Look, I'm just gonna give you the bold hard truth, whether you like it or not, and that's just for people who get butthurt for this. Look, man, if you look back into the slavery days, you understand that they used the N word a lot, to to use for degradation purposes, to degrade our race, our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers. That's precisely what that was for. It was generated in an age of pure hatred for us, for black folks, man. So I don't use that word. But do I tell other people don't use it? No, I don't. You want to know why? Because in the end, the only thing I'll do is I'll at least like inform. I'll send a message out to inform them of it. But regardless of whether they follow that message or not, that's up to them. I mean, you could sit there and line yourself in that kind of mentality if you want. I'm not finna judge. I'm not finna go out of the way to even change a person's mind about that. But I will speak my mind on the matter. That much is absolute. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to lower myself to that, because first off, even if someone was to call me that, I still don't get mad. And if you may wonder why, it's because I don't level myself down to that mentality. If you get aggravated from that, then, well, you basically are opening the door for hate. I don't do that. When a person says that, if they called me that, like, I don't level myself down to that line of hatred. I don't. Because first off, that level of ignorance is coming from them, not me. Did I say it? Absolutely not. It came from them, right? So that's how it is. Now, on another aspect of when it comes to this gang stalking stuff is this whole thing is basically like when they if they're using tactics such as how should I say, slanderism on you, and they're showing around like a false, like a fabricated evidence or something like that, or should I say evidence, should I say evidence of their stalking, but taken out of context. That's what all this is. That's precisely, in my case, that's what all my targeting is, basically. It's illegal slanderism. It's it's illegal evidence taken out of context, so it could actually support their claims and stuff like that, right? And that's all that it is. It's that, as well as reverse psychology. You see, when they talk about something, you gotta understand, it's not about whether if or if not it's true or not. That's not the point. The point is that it's to get you to guess and question your own self and your own self-esteem, your own situation, and that's it. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. Is to get you basically to think about that aspect. That's it. That's the whole purpose of that. So you got to ask yourself, they're using these weapons on us and they're invading our minds with it, right? So when they use these tactics of reverse psychology, you want to know what I do? And I always say this. I always keep the audio recorder on, and I only do this in legal aspects, by the way. I always keep it on, and then for the first week, I always will say, the week is such and such and such. Now, whenever I go out, you're gonna hear this, you're gonna hear that, and that's precisely what's gonna happen. Now, as soon as I go to a random location, that's precisely what you hear. When I go somewhere else and I keep traveling, that's all you keep hearing. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Over here, over there, left, right, up, down, and around the whole town, basically. So, can you call a person crazy if they said that if they said what was going to happen and it actually did happen? What was going to be said before they and you can hear in my audio logs, you can obviously hear my footsteps, so you know I'm moving. I mean, you guys see, it's for the McDonald's incident, right? You seen video footage of what happened, and I already posted the audio log of what happened. Um, yeah, man, it's definitely a crazy situation, but if when it's when you know how to identify like the stuff like that, is when you become able to expose it more. And trust me, they do not like that. It's coming to a time to where they are having less and less control over us now. But we gotta continue searching for ways to fight this. We have to keep searching for that, because it's when that happens that we will truly have a way to stop this. Lawyers are scared because, well, they don't want to have a heart attack. But if they got protection and they can't give these people a heart attack, then you know what's gonna happen. Um, People are afraid because they don't want to be put on the list. One thing I also will say is that gang stalkers do not, man, they do not trust one another. But I feel like I'm getting off a topic, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish the first topic at hand before I even go into that. Anyway, earlier at the beginning of the video, what I was basically saying is that from my point of view, I believe the way society is raised, or was raised, and this is not for all of us, because some of us are prime examples that no, we didn't accept that line of hatred that was being taught to us growing up, and and regardless of whatever is happening, regardless of whatever is said, that is, are we not gonna love our parents regardless? Of course not. We're gonna love we're gonna always love our parents. We're gonna always love our parents, even if we have bad relationships with them, even if the chemistry is not good there, even if there's not a good flow of energy, we're still gonna love our parents regardless, you know. So I'm not saying that you should hate your parents or nothing like, no, but I am gonna point out the obvious, and this is what happened with almost most, if not all, with not some households out there, man. And it's the language of hate, and this was being preached in a lot, not even just African American, African American, how should I say, households. It's also being preached in other households in its own way. And I honestly, I speak for myself when I say I will not speak the language of hate, and it's not so much as the N word. It's not even just that. It's the whole negative aspect in the way a person talks, in the way a person acts, and how they portray themselves out onto others. It means I'm not gonna go out there, start just randomly making fun of nobody, or just randomly go out of my way to make someone feel bad. I'm not gonna do that. Now, in my line of defense, if the gang stalkers want to talk a whole bunch of crap, I mean, I'll talk some mess every now and then, but it's only in self-defense. I never act out intentionally against anyone indirectly. I never do that, ever. Um, but again, like, it's only in self-defense. When I go anywhere, I don't go out of my way to just talk or say anything to nobody in an ill like manner. And now I'm starting to understand, like, you can speak out. You can speak out, but it doesn't have to be, through negativity. So don't allow hate in your life. Don't allow negativity in your life because trust me, that is the